This is episode 6 in my 2025 Summer Headspace series. This is a chance to revisit episodes from the previous school year during the summer months when you may have a little extra time. Beginning next week on August 26th, you will see new episodes with exciting new topics every Monday. For today, we look back at some activities that you can use as you begin the school year. In episode 180, I tell you about lots of CI activities that you can use right away, and then in episode 202, I talk about the free guide I created for planning and teaching toward proficiency. So let's jump in. Are you a language teacher looking for some reassurance that what you're doing in the classroom is on the right track? Or maybe you're looking for some ways to teach even more effectively. If you're one or the other or somewhere in between, you've landed in the right place. This is the World Language Classroom Podcast with your host, me, Joshua Cabral. You're about to get tips, tools, and resources so that your students continue to rise in proficiency and communicate with confidence. Let's jump in. Vamos, allons-y. Hello, my friends. Bonjour, mes amis. Hola, mis amigos. Welcome to the World Language Classroom Podcast. I am Joshua Cabral, and thank you so much for hanging out with me, particularly during the summer, which is one of the many things that I know that you do as a teacher that makes you incredibly effective. So thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to a podcast about language teaching over the summer. Okay, so in this episode, I want to give you really practical tools to go into your school year. You may have started your school year already, or maybe it's starting next week, but I want to make sure that you have some go-to activities. Most are low prep, and some are about planning, but I just want to make sure you have some tools to go into this school year. So the first episode to revisit is episode 180, and this is CI activities you can do today. So in this episode, I do a recap of what CI is, comprehensible input, how to make language comprehensible, and then looking at the idea that though CI is input focused, authentic student engagement with that input provides opportunities for comprehension checks and supports their acquisition. So then I get into lots of activities. So there are 3 categories of CI activities. There's interaction and discussion activities. So these focus on fostering interactive communication in the classroom, ways that are going to allow students to engage with the language in meaningful and personal ways. And then there's a category of storytelling and narrative. So these are the activities that involve students in storytelling and narratives. So it's offering a rich context for language acquisition through listening and speaking. And then the third category is reading and writing. So these activities are designed to reinforce comprehension and writing skills through structured and interactive tasks. So lots of activities, and there is a link in that episode show notes where you can download the document that has all 15 of them. I talk about them in the episode, but you have all 15 of them explained completely with details and suggestions, and the link to that document is in the show notes for episode 180. And then the second episode is episode 202, and this is all about the guide that I created. It's a free guide that you can download, and each section in this guide highlights essential components that support confidence and proficiency growth in your classroom. And there's also actionable steps that you can take right away. So this is broken up into a couple of different categories. The first one is about purposeful planning and asking the question, is your curriculum grounded in real-world communication and aligned with proficiency targets? So if your answer to that is no, there are suggestions for making that the reality of your classroom. The next section is about comprehensible input and student output, with the question, are students consistently hearing, writing, engaging, and using the language in meaningful ways? So if your answer to that is not a resounding yes all the time, there are some suggestions to help make that happen in your classroom. The next section is about meaningful tasks and relevant practice, with the question, is instruction connected to students' lives and communicative goals, with some suggestions to make that the reality if it's not happening in your classroom. The next section is about assessment and feedback, with the question, do your assessments reflect performance, proficiency, and communication? If not a resounding yes, there are some suggestions to make that happen in your classroom. The next suggestion is about professional reflection and collaboration, with the question, is there a shared culture of learning and improvement among teachers and leaders? You have some suggestions in there if that's not the case within your teaching scenario. Then the last section is about common challenges in proficiency-based classroom. Just keeping in mind that everyone faces challenges. You're not alone, I'm not alone, we're not alone, but there are some small shifts that can make a big impact with this in your classroom. So you can get all of those suggestions in the guide as well. And then it ends with next steps and creating your own action plan based on everything that's in there. So again, in that episode show notes, you will also have the link where you can download that free guide as well. So both of these episodes have documents that you can download so you can have them to use in your classroom. So in the show notes, you will see the links to episodes 180 and 202 so that you can listen to them right there. There's also a link to sign up for Talking Points, my weekly email newsletter with tips and resources for language teaching. And there's also a link to get in touch with me if you would like to work together, either in person in your school or remotely. I will see you next week for a brand new episode for the new school year of the World Language Classroom podcast. I will talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the World Language Classroom podcast. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening so that you never miss an episode. Let's keep the conversation going on social media. Connect with me on X, aka Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at WL Classroom. And for even more valuable resources, visit my website, WLClassroom.com, where you'll find over 300 blog posts about language teaching. So stay inspired, keep growing, and continue making a difference in your language classroom.